On today's episode of Beauty Behind the Brand, we have Rebecca on, the owner of the Detour Co. We talk about mindset, how important having a positive mindset can help manifest your future within creating a product line, having a niche on what kind of products you want to be selling, where your marketplace is, whether that's online, actually doing markets in person, creating a community with friendships as well as business besties, she was calling it, which I love that term. And yeah, we just had so much fun chatting about it. And I think she won't be a small business owner for much longer because it looks like and sounds like she's going to be scaling quite quickly with her plans on moving forward within her business and product line. So let's dive into one of our local businesses here in the Muskoka area. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on, Rebecca. As I was just saying, it's nice to have another Muskoka product line on. And I think it's something that we can resonate with as women in business, as well as how to get ourselves out there in the public eye, whether that's in the Muskoka area or like internationally, and really getting people to know who we are as founders. That's what I want to talk about a lot today, is just your story, how you became this. Everywhere I go, I see your products, literally everywhere. And how present you are on social media, I think, is a huge part of it as well. People seeing the face behind the brand is also so important. But I'm excited to hear your story. So you have the floor. I'm excited about this.
Okay. Thank you. I love hearing that people are seeing my products in other stores. It's something that I've worked really hard to get to. So thank you. So yeah, I'm Rebecca. I run the Detour Co. It's a truly natural skincare brand that prioritizes earth-grown ingredients from the land, not the lab. And it's the story is a long one because I never really sought out to be a skincare creator. I didn't think I would be running a natural skincare brand. Honestly, just years and years ago, like 12 or 13 years ago, I was going on this big trip and I wanted something that I could put on my face every day and know what was in it. And that was my first journey into making something for myself. So I made this like little jar of, it was really awful. It was very like thick and didn't have any smell to it, but I put it on my face every day and it made me feel nice. Like face care is important to me. So fast forward a few more years, I had been dabbling in making my own things for some time, but then I became a mother and I had a very sensitive little infant. And all of a sudden, everything on the shelves felt scary and unsafe. And that really pushed me to dive more into making my own products so that I knew not only what I was doing for myself, but what I was putting on my kid's skin in a way that he wouldn't react, or I just felt better about it. So those are kind of the Cole's notes on why I think natural skincare is important and sort of the personal way that it's impacted me. Now, how did the brand come about? Well, I moved to Muskoka and I had a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old. And I thought, I'm in Muskoka. This is where natural people come to play. There must be awesome skincare brands around. And I just went in, I live in Gravenhurst, and I went looking into my local shops to find like a really great body butter. And I couldn't find one that met my standards. And at that point, my husband said, why don't you try selling the stuff you make? And I was like, okay, sure. And that first summer that we lived in Muskoka, I signed up for a couple of farmers markets, and it was really just a trial. I sold body butter and bug spray and a sun cream because those are the things that we had been using in our household for years. And I really just went out there thinking like, oh, let's see if anybody cares. Let's see if anybody's interested in this. And to my delight and surprise, they were. And that really just, I kept making and creating and marketing because I found something that people in the community needed. And it's been great for me and it's been great for everyone else. And now this is my third summer that I have been at markets, and it's just been the wildest, most unexpected ride, which I guess is kind of where I can explain the name of the brand.
Yeah.
Um, so the Detour Co. when I was traveling, so I went on like an 8-month trip and a 14-month trip in my 20s and often found myself in unexpected places. And so somewhere along the way, my husband and I just started to joke, it's just another detour to kind of embrace those unexpected twists and turns that life can throw at us. So when I started the brand, it really felt like the right name because it was authentic to me and my story. And I find that natural skincare can be a detour for people. A lot of my customers are folks that are looking to swap out their conventional skincare products for something more natural. So it is a detour for them. It's a new direction, and I'm happy to be the person that can hold space for that.
I love that because there is so many questions. The internet can be an overwhelming place to search and know what you think's best, or if you have certain allergies to things. We have that a lot of the time, even at the spa, where clients will come in and I'll be like, let's just change one thing out of your routine at a time because you never know how your skin's going to react or if there's active ingredients and so forth. But I think to your point is you created something that you saw a gap in the market. And that's usually where entrepreneurship starts, right? Is finding
Yeah.
that gap in the market, creating something to solve a problem, and then developing something that you know other people are going to love. And it's a product that you're using on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the farmers markets, I actually was just talking to my mom. She was just saying that she saw your booth at, I think it was in Perry Sound,
Yeah.
at one of the markets there. And I think it's the one-to-one, like when we used to do trade shows a lot with Miss Coca Beauty, it was great because we got to actually meet our customers. And that's when you can have like some of the most meaningful brainstorming sessions with the people that are buying your products or feedback or like comments or even packaging. Like all your packaging is so beautiful. And is
Thank
that something
you.
you design yourself as well?
Yeah. I've designed everything.
Amazing. Amazing. So where did that, so you had kind of the three products you started with, and then from
Yes.
there, were you like just, did you kind of have just generic stickers you were using at that point before you kind of saw the
Yeah.
movement of like, this is becoming something?
Yeah. To be honest, it's going to sound really woo, but I feel like it all just landed in me, like in my mind. The name came to me, and then I envisioned this logo, and then I started just making labels and printing them on my printer. And it really was through conversations at the markets that I started to figure out what the brand could be. And honestly, I started with those three products for myself, but every other product has come from a conversation with a community member. I had somebody that said, I used to use a face cream that had honey in it. Could you do something like that? And so I was like, yeah, for sure. And I toyed around with the idea and did some research into what I might want to create a face cream with, and the chamomile honey face cream was born. But then once I had that, I couldn't sell a face cream without a face toner because the toners are so great at preparing your skin to receive those butters and oils. So that's where the face care line started. And then I had so many people asking for deodorant. And I was really on the fence. I had made something, but it wasn't the right packaging. I had put it into one of the like biodegradable tubes and it wouldn't push up.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the product and the packaging weren't working together. So that was initially a flop, but people kept asking for it. And so I was having great conversations saying, what would you want in a deodorant? What do you not want in a deodorant? And by far the most important thing people said is they don't want baking soda. From day one, Detour Co has been considered a sensitive skincare brand because that's where my roots were in wanting to create products that were safe for my son.
Hmm.
And so many of the decisions that I've made have been based on creating the most gentle products for the skin.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's where I think too, it's keeping those core values all the way through, right? Like I feel like that's something we created, like quality products at an affordable price. That's like what we say with Muskoka Beauty, because like I had the brick and mortar location and we were problem solving with technicians on a professional level of like eyelash and brow services. And it was same thing. We had some like sachets we used to sell product in and they would dry up. The expiry weren't as long. There was air issues in the packaging. So like we had to come up with a new way of packaging where
Hmm.
I'm sure you do the same thing. If you go through like anywhere, like any store, and you're looking at packaging now in a whole different way,
all the
how
time.
it's developed, how it's changed, how it's revolved, right?
Well, and that's even the conversation I'll have with other skincare creators. Like I meet other brands and almost first thing I'm asking is like, what events or shops are you in that you love? And then where do you get your packaging? Who's printing your labels? Where did you get these jars?
Yes.
Because it's just this whole other world. Packaging has definitely been my biggest challenge in I haven't always been able to find exactly what I envision, but I'm working with what I've got
And that's
until
the
something new
journey.
comes up.
Sometimes you need a little pick me up midday, and I'm not talking about another coffee. I'm talking about my Sage Peppermint Roller. I can't live without this thing. It's literally sitting on my desk right here. Whether I'm jumping into a podcast or I need to focus on doing some admin, I just do a little roll on my temples. Sometimes I even take a deep breath, and I just feel like I'm ready to do anything. Not to mention, we also use Sage products at our spa location. We love the liquid sunshine as our aromatherapy when coming into the spa. We love using any eucalyptus within our towel caddies, and even just in treatment to be able to really bring in and hone in that whole experience when being at the spa. So if you're interested in trying Sage or you're just wanting a discount, make sure you click the link below because you definitely want to get in on this exclusive discount that we offer on this podcast of Beauty Behind the Brand. And thank you so much for listening. And I'm going to share some key takeaways on some more episodes of why I love Sage and how we also use it in our day-to-day. That's a
Yeah.
detour, right? The journey of it. And that's where I look. We just posted actually not that long ago of when we started our business to what it is now. And like
Yeah.
those core years of
Mhm.
starting, like even like from the first year to even the fifth year to the fifth year to the 10th year, like there's going to be challenges on different scales and different levels. And I
Yeah.
think packaging, even mailing, like we do very similar things where we try to recycle, right? If
Yeah.
boxes come in, we try to repurpose them and give them a second life, which I think is so important. And
Yeah.
really, it's a box. Who really cares what it looks like when it's delivered?
Totally.
They care about the product inside, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And with
Yeah.
the markets, I'm sure you've networked a lot at the markets as well with different vendors, getting to know other people as like with like professional level as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I mean, I started working at the markets my first summer. So I moved here in October and then I started working that summer. And it was that's how I met people. Like I was just a mom stuck in her house all winter and then the markets came and I started a business and that's where I met like some of my first real friends and the market community is just such a supportive and loving one. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed. We're all facing the same challenges of like slow days or busy days or rainy days. We even the one summer we're facing all those forest fires and market managers are trying to decide, do we run the markets, do we not? There's all these things that go into actually showing up at the farmers markets, and it can be really grueling. Literally every day you set up a new store. Like I
Yeah.
drive, if I'm going to Perry Sound, I drive for an hour, I set up a store, I stand there for 6 hours, and then I take it all down, come home, and maybe I'll be at Gravenhurst on Wednesday. So then I go out and do it all over again. It's like it is a labor of love because it is physical and it is mental and it is emotional.
Mhm.
Um, and being at the market with other people doing the same thing is just like a hug. It's just
Oh,
like these
yeah.
people get it.
Well, even like I saw your one post about the weather, like torrential downpours. You spend all that time
Yeah.
setting up, going through the rain, hoping that the day's going to clear up for people to be able to come in and actually come walk around. And sometimes
Yeah.
the weather just doesn't agree with that decision.
Totally. Yeah, a lot of them are rain or shine markets. So whether it's like a torrential downpour or 45 degrees, we are there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and we started doing the little pop-ups at the spa so people can actually come in and use like our storefront because same
Yes.
thing, it's like a different audience. Like some of our clientele might not be going to the markets or they're coming into town for certain appointments, but they wouldn't normally come into town for weekends or whatever. And
Mhm.
that we had a lot of fun with that. and we're doing it again this year. And it's just something different for us. Even like my girls always love it. They are like, oh, can I get that treatment done that this person's coming in for? Or can I shop when they're here? I'm like, that's the whole point,
Yeah.
right? It's to experience that. And what is your experience from e-commerce to the markets? What have you kind of had like a 50-50 there where like people are purchasing more in person or more online? What's kind of your take on that part of it?
It's a little bit of both. Like online is definitely growing a lot, but that's
Good.
because
Yeah.
I'm meeting people at the markets who are then going home and purchasing online and having it shipped to them.
Perfect. Yeah.
Or if it's somebody that I've never met, but their sister recommended it to them, then they might be shopping online.
Oh, that's great. And that's for like the one-time purchase, but then they're going to purchase again. Like you know that they're
Yes.
going back to be able to do that.
Yep.
And then with because you have some of your wholesalers, people purchasing from you as well. How was that experience? Did you go like to other locations? Did you do outreach a certain way? What was kind of your first step into doing wholesale with other businesses?
They've all been a little bit different. Um, so initially there was like a neighbor of mine runs a store in Gravenhurst, and so she was like one of the first people that let me put my products on
Oh,
her
that's
shelves.
amazing.
And then but then like my first summer I had another store that I approached, and she said, if you're still in business next year, maybe we can talk. So it's been a little bit of everything. And I find at this point, like some of it is me reaching out, but some of it is other people coming to me. So it's each relationship is being created in different ways. And I'm really just so grateful that there is the interest in the community to have my products in the stores,
Yeah.
because that helps all of us so much more. And it sometimes my customers will say, oh, I just want to shop with you directly. And I'm like, but if you go and buy it at that store, you're supporting both of our small businesses. Like
Mhm.
any dollar you're spending in the community is a happy dance for us
Yeah.
small business
Yes.
owners. So I think it's really beneficial for all of us, whether somebody's shopping online directly with the business or shopping at a store that carries these products. And only if you shop at the stores and buy my products there, they will stay on the shelves. But if
Mhm.
you don't, then they might not place another order.
That's a great point, actually, because I feel like that with our wholesale as well. Like we have wholesale and distribution, and I feel like it's the same thing as like if they don't have like if I think you had done it once, I was asking about bug spray for
Hmm.
our wedding too. And I was like, oh, I can go downtown and purchase it from this person right away versus trying to like purchase online or coming to Gravenhurst to purchase, even though, it's such a far drive to go to Gravenhurst, but like to go and pick up, right? So it's so nice as you, as the founder, you're also being like, oh, here, if you're close to this area, this is where you can pick it up. And I
Yeah.
find the same thing. If I have buyers in Toronto, I'm like,
Yeah.
go to this wholesaler or distributor. They're right around the corners because same thing. It's going to help them. It's going to
Yeah.
keep products on their shelves as well. So when you're like starting to do that, was your mind kind of like, oh my gosh, other people want my products, like they want to be able to wholesale and sell them as well? What was kind of your mindset going into something like that?
I was just so excited every time.
That's amazing. I love that.
Like it's just such an honor. Like I said at the beginning, I've never really set out to do this. And the fact that I'm making something that people enjoy, or a product that like a spa likes enough to use or recommend to their products, is wild. Like I don't have a background in skincare or beauty or aesthetics. I didn't go to school. People ask how I got into this, and it's genuinely just like curiosity and
Yes.
play. Just
Mhm.
like, oh, I made something, and then it's like, can this be better? What if I tweak the ingredients? How does that impact the texture? Like, I played around with these ingredients for a decade before starting the brand. And that is the only experience that I have.
I think experience, like, well, I'm an esthetician, but like, obviously, I do not have a business background. And people are like, how do you have multiple businesses? I'm like, because I love it. It's like
Yeah.
passion. You can't teach passion. You can't teach creativity. You can't teach these things, right? It's just instilled in us. And I feel like for you to actually physically be using the product and experimenting with them for that long shows, right? Where
Yeah.
it's not just like a little side hobby to you. It's actually like you're living and breathing it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah, I really am.
Yeah, and even for children, like exactly to your point, like I have so many friends that have young kids and same thing, they're struggling to find products that are safe.
Yeah.
There's so much knowledge now, like even fragrances. I'm actually reading the Chanel number 5 book. It's like it's an oldie, but it like talks about how it started like in the early 1920s and how like fragrance had started and like half the time it had formaldehyde, it had all
Yeah.
these bad things in it that were like having birth defects. They were having all these issues with people dying, ingredients like lead, all this stuff that was in makeup and perfumes and stuff back in the day. And it's interesting because now everyone wants like fragrance free or like a
Mhm.
natural essential oils or something where perfumes are so dangerous or like some type of perfumed anything. Like I think of air fresheners. I am so sensitive to those. If I walk in a room
Mhm.
that has an air freshener in it, I'm instantly eyes watering, nose running, like and those can be toxins to our
Yeah.
body, especially even for young infants, right? And children
Yeah.
growing up. We don't want to have them exposed to those things either. So if you
Totally.
can find a natural product that you can stand behind, you've used it on your children, you've used it yourself, that's a
Mhm.
great testimonial right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. So when you're a solo entrepreneur, which I think is a huge part of this podcast that I wanted to talk about today, because I know a lot of our listeners are as well. And I feel like I was when I had first started, and it can be lonely. It can be like trying to do all the things. You're like the Jill of all trades, trying to do all the things to anyone and everyone, your customer service, you're filling orders, you're
Mhm.
manufacturing, you're filling, you're doing it all, you're doing the markets. How is your or like what would be the best advice you have for someone going through it, or what's something you even tell yourself on like a like day-to-day basis when you're going through maybe like a tough time or something? What's kind of
Mhm.
your mindset going into stuff?
Well, like it's me versus my mind, really.
Mhm.
And there are definitely times where I think, what am I doing here? Is this even working?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get so overwhelmed. My mind just always has a million things racing through it, and it can definitely exhaust me. But the way that I pull myself out of that is turning off everything else. Like, I think there's like, I purposefully don't really follow a lot of other brands on social media
Mhm.
because if I see someone doing something and I perceive it to be better, or I look at it and think, should I be doing that? Like that imposter syndrome, I can't. Like, I'm confident in what I'm doing until I start to see what someone else is doing. And that creates questions and uncertainty within me. So, turning off all the other stuff, and calling a friend. Like,
Yes,
if
yeah.
I'm having a tough time, I just need to talk to another human who knows what it's like.
Mhm.
So I'll lean on like a business bestie or just call one of my friends who, like, just talking to other people and remembering that, yeah, life can be overwhelming and hard sometimes. And honestly, stepping away from it all is probably the most important thing I can do in those tough moments is just dropping everything, even though the to-do list is endless, and really focusing and coming back to me. Because I think in those moments, I've just given too much of my energy away. I've I've been putting my energy into things that aren't real for me, whether it's looking at somebody else's social media post or telling myself my labels should be better or whatever. The reality is that none of that is real. It's all me versus my mind.
Mhm.
So turning it off, stepping away, and giving myself some space to just come back to me. I
Yeah.
meditate a lot. I talk to my friends a lot. Those are definitely my number one ways of coming back to me. And when I'm centered and grounded in myself, then I know that the noise and those other thoughts, they're not real.
Mhm. Mhm. And they're within ourselves. Like I think Brene Brown has some type of quote. It's something to do with like make room for play. because
Mhm.
there's, when you're stepping away or unplugging completely from something, I find when I'm like on vacation or I'm reading a book or I'm like something completely away from my business is when I come up with the best ideas, or I get re-inspired almost for a
Mhm.
different idea instead of being influenced by other people's business decisions, whether that's online, because everything's like you got to almost shut down the outside world. Like you've got to
Totally.
remember your core values as even just a human, not even as a business person, but like your core values as a human being. Like, what is my mission on this planet? What
Yeah.
am I wanting to do? What am I wanting to change in an industry or like within myself for humans? Like, and
Mhm.
yours is exactly that, creating natural products for people to feel safe using. And
Yeah.
I think it is hard. I totally agree with you. I've said that time and time again, even on our solo episodes, is I don't follow a lot of other spas because I find I get so influenced, same thing, of
Yeah.
the decision making, or, oh, what about my prices? Should my prices be this? Or "Oh,
Yeah.
we need to do this, or like comparables, right? And it's so hard because then you're like, are they even making the right decision? Right. Because then I'm like, then my business mind's like, well, if they're making this much money off of that one product, their margin must be this. They're not making very much money. And then why shouldn't I be charging more or less? You know what I mean? Like it just,
Yes.
you're talking in circles at the end of the
And
day.
it never, like, the thought wasn't even like, it didn't originate in your own, like,
Mine.
heart. It just
Yeah.
came from a 15-second clip
Yes,
that just
exactly.
like derailed you completely.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where I love, like, sometimes it is hard, like when you do have, like, I do have a team now, and there's pros and cons of being solo and having a team, but sometimes it's like I almost feel like I need to talk to everyone to get like the approval on that decision. Where sometimes I'm like, that might not be the right decision for the business, but it might be the right decision for the people in the business, right? So it's so hard to make those decisions. But when you are a solo, I remember I was like, when I had opened the spa, I was alone for this for 6+ months. And it was tricky because you don't have almost someone who's going through it with you, where you can
Mhm.
call and ask a friend. I didn't have, I was 20 when I had opened my spa. I had no friends to call to be like, am I making the right business decision? They're still partying and carrying on. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have that, but I think if you can find exactly what you're saying, that core group of like business besties to call, or someone that just understands you and just knows like kind of that voice of reason, that can help.
Mhm. Because that's often what we need, is we just need to talk it out. The amount of times I'm having a conversation with somebody and then it all makes sense
Yes.
just because I had space to say the things that were on my mind. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. And it helps ground me and center me for sure.
And even too, it sounds like your husband's very supportive and helping,
Yeah.
like, even like from reading your story online too, of the traveling together, obviously having a family together, but even being like, well, maybe you should sell these. And that is huge. If like having that supportive partner is so important when being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's really
Aw.
great. And we've definitely been through like a lot together because yeah, running a business, raising a family, living in Muskoka, all these beautiful things, they come with challenges and unexpected, yeah, lessons. And but for us, it's just communication. Like
Mhm.
if anything ever feels rocky, it's like put everything aside and let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And we've had conversations about like, is this what's right? Is this possible? Can this work? And it always comes back to like, yes, let's
Mhm.
keep going.
And
Like
that's
keep
something
going with the
else.
brand.
I think that's so important because there's times where even for like I think of myself and other friends or other people I've interviewed on the podcast, it's like you're going through the motions. You're almost going through life so fast and you almost have
Mhm.
to pause and actually have those conversations. Like I felt like that during the pandemic. I was like, is this in line with where I see my future? Is this in line with where I see myself, my life, and like just really like sitting with it and being okay,
Mhm.
like you're saying with meditation too, is like really honing in, like, is this who I am? And does it
Yeah.
work for your family? Right.
Yeah. And holding this vision. So, like, I have this big goal, this big vision of what I'd love the brand to become, what I'd love my life to become. And I feel like I'm often dancing with these two truths of like what I'm creating and what is real for right now.
Mhm.
And that's when I get too far ahead of myself of seeing like what I want it to be.
Mhm.
that's when I have to reel it in and come back to where am I right now and what can I do today?
Yes.
To
Yeah.
It's not like I can definitely think like 30 steps ahead or 5 years ahead. I love to turn 5-year plans into 2-year plans and just like fast forward through everything. But when I get too far ahead or I'm just losing my footing, I just have to come back and be like, what's possible today? What can I do today? And that helps.
I find that exactly to that point too. I'm the exact same. Like I love change, which is a pro and a con because
Yeah.
my team's like, okay, whoa, we're not changing everything. Like a couple years ago, we literally changed everything but the phone number and the business. Well, we kind of did change the business thing because we incorporated, but we literally changed everything with the
Yeah.
business because like it needed a refresh.
Yeah.
Everything needed to be redone. Anyways, yeah, I like change, which is a good thing and a bad thing, exactly to your point. Cause I'm like looking into the future. I'm like, the faster I get this done, the faster we're gonna get there, right?
Yeah.
Things obviously get in the way too. Like you got to have the cash flow to be able to do these things. You've got to have the resources. You've got to have even like if you're hiring someone to help or if you're getting like contract workers to step in to help with outside sourcing, like there's a lot of steps, even manufacturing, right? If you can't get the ingredients, you can't move much faster, right?
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then what I was going to say too is being in Muskoka, because not very often we have actually local like businesses on the podcast. I also find coming from a small town, sometimes it's hard to think big. I don't know if you have the same feeling or not, but sometimes I go on about experiences or I got like this offer or this came in and I almost feel like I'm almost like shut down to reality sometimes when I talk to people about it because they're like, well, that can't happen or that doesn't
Yeah.
make sense or like that's a really big goal. Why would you even try that? So I think trying to find those people that can dream big with you and motivate
Yeah.
you to, and I'm always the type that even since being a kid, I was always like, well, I'm going to prove these people wrong. That was always
Totally.
I was. And I think I'm still like that.
Yeah.
But I think especially being in a small town, sometimes it's hard to find that community that can help dream big with you. Hey everyone, it's Nicole Manion here. As someone who's built two successful beauty businesses, Muskoka Aesthetics and Muskoka Beauty, I know firsthand how important it is to have the right tools to grow your brand. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Shopify. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, Shopify is the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to create your own online store and start selling. With powerful tools to help you manage everything from inventory to marketing, Shopify is your go-to place for entrepreneurs like us. Plus, they have 24/7 support to keep you on track. Ready to get started? Click the link below in our show notes to get started today with Shopify and enjoy your Shopify journey today.
Yeah, I think we have that in common
Yeah.
because I've always been like a go-getter, a big dreamer. I moved to like Toronto when I was 18 to try dance as a career. And then yeah, like wandered around the globe a couple times after just meeting this guy and it has scared a lot of people because I've just done these big bold things and it's always worked out. I mean, knock on wood, it's just every time I take a risk, every time I do the big scary thing, every time I believe anything is possible, somehow it comes together.
Mhm.
And so I keep doing it. It's like,
Yeah.
why not try?
You only have one
Because
life. Like you might
maybe
as
it
well.
doesn't work. Maybe it goes a different way. But man, like if I never even tried, I don't want to look back in 20, 50 years with too many question marks.
I don't want to be that old lady in a rocking chair, be like, oh, I had this opportunity, but I didn't take it. Like, no, like
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
take the opportunities or even outreach, like reach out. And what's the worst thing someone's gonna say no? Like, what's
Yeah.
the worst thing that's gonna happen? And that's
Yeah.
where I find I'm almost like, yeah, I get the wheels going. And then I get that imposter syndrome where I'm like looking and I'm like, does this make sense? Or I'm like signing a bigger deal or something's happening. And I'm like, I'll get John, my husband, I'll be like, can you review this? Because this
Mhm.
makes sense because he's like a business background. And he's like,
Mhm.
no, that makes sense. I'm like, okay, because like I almost feel like this is too good to be true, or this opportunity came up, right? Like it's
Yeah.
almost like you're manifesting your future, right? It is like
Yeah.
you're setting the tone to make those things happen and
Yeah.
keeping them
Things
up.
aren't going to happen if you don't believe they can.
Exactly.
So, like, if you don't even believe, you're just stopping yourself right there. And I
Mhm.
think that's what can happen with some people. They get comfortable and they just, it's scary to believe anything else could be true because then maybe there's also that, like, you don't believe you can do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a mindset thing. That's a self-belief, self-worth thing. And I'm not saying like everyone has to go do the big scary things. Not everybody has to take the risks. I don't think it is possible. I don't know. Everyone is different. So
Yeah.
I just want to honor that. But also, if somebody else doesn't believe in what I can do, that's not my problem.
Exactly, exactly.
I'm
And the
just going to
sooner
keep
people can
going.
realize that, the better. Because I think that's the thing. Like, I know growing up, I always wanted like approval. I always wanted like approval that I could do something. And then I realized, like, you know what? I'm not going to get everyone's approval. So why am I holding back on those people's opinions, right? Of what can happen or what can like move forward within your life. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
such
and
a
it's really taught me to be careful about who I
yes,
talk to things
yes,
about because I know there's people that my ideas or my goals are going to scare them or make them uncomfortable. And I'm a really sensitive person. I don't want to take on those beliefs myself,
yes,
right?
yes.
If something comes to me, a like idea or a vision that I want to pursue, then that's what's meant for me and I'm going to give it a shot.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And finding, yeah, like we were saying, that core group of people that you feel comfortable to talk openly to and dream big with and motivate you.
Yeah, I know. I
Mm.
even have a friend who's often like, "You're crazy, but go for it." Like
Yeah.
she might she might be like, "That's I don't get it," but she's still a cheerleader. So,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's fine. It's just
Aw.
yeah.
I love that. Now, when you're like, I feel like you have so many, like when I talk to people about your brand or I see it, like you have a lot, it seems like a bestsellers, like the items that people really love and admire
Mhm.
from the Detour Co. What is like your holy grail? Do you have a specific product that you are like, this is my go-to, or do you have kind of like a handful of them that you can't live without?
I would say the body butter is
Okay.
it's like the all-in-one skin wonder. If you want one thing in your house that can do all of the skin stuff, I use it to remove my makeup. I use it on my baby's diaper bum. Like I use it on my son's eczema. I use it when I get out of the bath or the shower. It's my husband uses it. It's the one product that if you are looking for a simple skincare solution, you can have a jar of body butter in your house and it's going to replace 8 different things that you used to use.
I love the minimalists of it too. Like
Yeah.
I hate, even though I'm an esthetician, most estheticians have millions of products around their house, but I'm like a very minimalist person. I'm like, whatever's left at the spa in the back bar that needs to be used up, that's usually the products I bring home. But I
Yeah.
love that because it's simple. It's like when in doubt, use it, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And then the
Yeah.
bug spray, I know like a lot of people love the bug spray because it's safe for children. Is it safe for pets as well?
I have a dog friendly version.
It,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, perfect. Especially living in
Yeah. That one is the best seller for like 3 months of the year. Like
yeah,
it outsells everything all summer, but it only sells for like 3 months.
yes, yeah, I believe. Well, that's what I had messaged you for the wedding. I was like, I need bug spray because I call it like Muskoka cologne because
Yes.
like I remember working weddings and I'm like, oh, I don't want to put too much like good smelling spray on you or anything because of the mosquitoes, 'cause especially people coming from the city. I was like, you do not want this type of smell on you. And they're like, why? I'm like, you need Muskoka cologne bug spray.
Yeah.
Is there any questions I'm not asking or anything that you think the audience would love to hear from you of like any other feedback on whether that's product line, entrepreneurship, mindset?
Hmm. Um, I think it's so much about finding your community. That is the number one thing I think everyone needs in their court is to have other people who understand. And in the last 2.5 years, I've built this growing village that can support me, whether it's like Jody from Muskoka Futures or Elizabeth at the Small Business Center or my friends that manage the markets. Um, or another skincare brand will like chit chat about different issues that we're having. There's people that are in the same industry as you and people that are in different industries. And anytime you can come into contact with somebody else that's running a business, we can learn from each other and we can support each other. And that has got to be the best thing about running a business, is learning that you can support each other and rely on each other. Like, it's it makes it all so friendly, like fun.
Oh,
Like,
I mean,
nobody
yeah.
wants to do it alone.
No,
So let's
exactly. And
not.
I was the same. I actually did the small business center. It was Nicole that worked it before Jody had taken over, but same thing. Like that's how I kind of found my like core. There was like 5 or 6 of us. It was like the young entrepreneur program. So it was anyone under, I think it was 30 or 35 could join the program. And it was
Yeah.
incredible. Like, cause yeah, everyone was solo entrepreneurs. We didn't know the first thing when it came to business, how to like apply for a business number, how we're supposed to be filing our HST, how to even start like a business bank account. Like it was everything we needed. Even some, I wasn't incorporated at that time, but if people were to incorporate or liability insurance, like it really taught you everything you needed. And the grants as well. You can get different
Mhm.
grant programs as well, which is incredible.
Yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
know something, somebody else does. So
Mhm.
start asking questions, because we
Yeah.
don't need to know everything. Like, I'm not an accountant, so I hire one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know about so many things like FT, or what are they called? The non-disclosure agreements, like
Yes. Yeah.
getting
NDA.
lawyers. I
Yes.
don't know about that
Yeah.
stuff. So I ask for help and find the people who do know the things, because there's always somebody that's been doing this longer than I have,
Oh,
and I can learn from them, but they can't help me if I don't ask for it.
exactly. And that's why they have a job, right? Is for
Yeah.
us to be able, like, I think the same thing. I say always the first thing when coming to business, like, I was like, get a good bookkeeper. That is my biggest advice to people is find yourself a good bookkeeper and accountant because they will save you money and time at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's your finances, it's your money. And I'm good at other things where they're good at that. And that's their job
Exactly.
for a reason, right?
Yeah.
But I find even like we just did actually just went to like a fulfillment center in Mississauga and I only found out about these through another distributor that we buy product from at the spa.
Mhm.
And it was like such a small world. It was like within like a week of me asking these questions to different people, we ended up finding this fulfillment center and we're like, this might be the one we're going to end up going with. Like there was, and then I met with both of the owners in person and just like getting to see the facility and how it all operates and just learning that whole world. Cause I mean, I'm very similar to you. I'm the one filling the orders. I'm in my warehouse. It's literally a garage filling orders. And I'm like, I'm out scaling this. And I don't have the time to fill orders, go to the post office, ship things like customer service with waybill numbers, or if things getting imported, exported, like it's a lot of moving parts with just shipping alone, right?
Yeah. Shipping is a whole beast in of itself.
Oh, and even the rates, I'm like, because we are in Northern Ontario, they claim
Yeah.
us as, right? So shipping rates are like, they just get out of control for us because we're just
Yeah.
that much farther north. So yeah, it's really interesting just asking the right questions to people that are experts in that field too. And
Mhm.
that's a huge part of entrepreneurship is being okay to ask for help and asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, it was so nice talking to you, Rebecca. Like, we
You
need to go
too.
for coffee. I know we connected like early spring. I think just with me getting married and
Yeah.
honeymoon and real life Muskoka in the summer, as you know, right, can be quite hectic. But we'll
Yeah.
definitely get together in person this fall. And yeah, it was just pleasure talking to you and
You too. I'm so
like
happy to connect.
connect with a local Muskoka business owner and product because I feel like we have a lot of service industries here.
Yeah.
Nice to actually find someone else who's in the product space for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, like, they can reach out to me.
Yeah.
I've, like, even just in the last 24 hours, just been having like great little business related conversations in my DMs.
Amazing.
I really think we're just so much better when we can do this together. So I'm
Yeah.
an open book and happy to help anybody who's has questions.
Yeah, actually you had shared a video not that long ago about where you get your stickers from and stuff, which I thought was so helpful too. Um
Yeah. People are always asking, where do you get your labels? I get them from Sticker Beaver
yeah,
in, I think it's like Calgary. It's in Alberta somewhere. And I've
yeah,
been
and
really liking theirs after trying a few different options. But yeah, I use Sticker Beaver.
amazing. Well, shout out, we need a sponsor now.
Yeah. If you want to sponsor the pod.
Yeah, let us know. Well, and we'll put that in the show notes below too, because we like to put resources for listeners to be able to source some different items, especially within Canada, which is great. Supporting our local economy is so important too.
Yeah, it is.
And
Thanks,
we'll
Nicole.
Yeah, and we'll put all your details below so everyone can shop online and even to reach out for any of the local markets too.
Yes, yes, I would love that.
Perfect.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, Rebecca. Lovely chatting.